Hey y'all, it's Omni Ebony back again with another video. This time I'll be reacting to Jesse Waters talking about something with Kamala, I'm sure, by the title, of course. I try to keep a neutral stance and neutral perspective. perspective. I try to keep a neutral stance and neutral perspective when it comes to politics because they all working for the same people, for real. But I do lean some ways. I don't care. But let's get into it.
Donald Trump held an hour-long press conference in Mar-a-Lago this afternoon, announcing he's agreed with 3 different networks to do 3 debates in September.
I think it's very important to have debates, and we've agreed with Fox on a date of September 4th. We've agreed with NBC, fairly full agreement, subject to them, on September 10th. And we've agreed with ABC on September 25th. The other side has to agree to the terms. They may or may not agree. I don't know if they're going to agree. She hasn't done an interview. She can't do an interview. She's barely competent, and she can't do an interview. But I look forward to the debates because I think we have to set the record straight.
The debate on Fox would be first, but everyone's still waiting to hear from Harris.
I do agree. Of all Black women to represent us, she is, nah, man. She is incompetent. But it's almost insulting how much it's like she tries to play in our face. And I'll get into that a little more. I'm sure Jesse Walters will get into it. But I just find it so insulting that she's just kind of plays in our faces. And it's not even just her. It's like the ringleaders of everything that's going on. So
Kamala hasn't done an interview since June. It's now August. And after being shamed for hiding from the media, they forced her down the stairs of Air Force Two. Watch.
President Trump had a press conference today. He talked about a lot of things. I wonder if you have a reaction to what he talked about.
Well, I'm glad that he's finally agreed to a debate on September 10th. I'm looking forward to it and hope he shows up.
Are you open to more debates?
I am happy to have that conversation about an additional debate for after September 10th, for sure.
He proposed two more debates.
Like I said, happy to have that conversation.
Kamala's seen Trump end people's political careers on the debate stage, and she's never participated in a presidential debate before. Trump's done 6. So she might be pretending to have the upper hand. I hope he shows up. Come on. She's terrified, and the ball's in her court. The networks and Trump have agreed to 3. She's agreed to 1. And if she finally comes to terms, the Fox debate would be first, right after Labor Day. That would give her 2 whole weeks after her convention to prepare. That's a lot longer than Biden had to prepare. And we saw what happened there. The Fox debate on September 4th would be before early voting starts. I know it's ridiculous to have 2 months of early voting, and the Republicans better have their act together. But shouldn't the country see these 2 square off before we cast a ballot? Kamala wants to wait as long as possible to debate Trump, because that debate could officially end the honeymoon.
What if this so-called honeymoon period doesn't end?
Oh, it's going to end. The honeymoon period's going to end. Look, she's got a little period. She's got a convention coming up. It's about policy. It's not about her. I think she's incompetent because I've watched her. She destroyed California. She destroyed San Francisco. Everything she's touched has turned to bad things. I'm not going to use foul language, but everything she's touched has turned bad. She's incompetent. She won't even do interviews with friendly people because she can't do better than Biden. She doesn't want to do interviews. And the reason she doesn't is, number one, her policies are so bad. Just to answer your question, I think that it's not going to change because it's really ultimately not about her as much as about her policies. She wants open borders. She wants to defund the police. She wants to defund the police. She wants to take away your guns.
I liked hearing it's not about her, it's about her policy. I like that. The more personal it gets, the more she plays the victim and keeps the focus off substance. Kamala isn't Hillary. She's not.
Now, what I have noticed is that Trump is probably the only person that has spoke on any of Kamala's policies, because I haven't even heard her speak on any like actual policies outside of like, we need to save abortion rights, which they know they can't do because they can't overturn what the Supreme Court did. They don't have any power in that anymore. So that's over with, and people are still getting abortions. So it's not. So they're really just kind of playing into the whole abortion thing because they know most Democrats and most of her voters are going to be women. And so, you know what I'm saying? It's all just a game. It's a whole psyop, honestly. But let's keep going.
Not tough. She doesn't know anything about anything, especially policy. And she's being protected like it's her first day of kindergarten. Instead of shredding her, Trump would just be better served petting her on the head. Oh, poor Kamala. This election isn't about hatred, at least not on the right. This election is about you.
Do you think Kamala Harris is worse than President Biden? I know you said you think you're very.
No, I think she's actually not as smart as he is.
Well, you said you think you're very far
I don't
ahead
think
in
he's
the
very
polls.
smart either, by the way. I'm not a big fan of his brain, but I think that she's actually not as smart as he is.
To what do you attribute her rising in the polls as becoming a more competitive race since she's taken over for Biden?
She's a woman. She represents certain groups of people, but I will say this. When people find out about her, I think she'll be much less. And I see it right now. I see her going way down in the polls now. Now that people are finding out that she destroyed San Francisco, she destroyed the state of California along with Governor Gavin Newsom. The polls have suggested. There are some polls that say we're going to win in a landslide. People are voting with their stomachs, meaning they're going to the grocery store. They're paying 50, 60, 70% more for food than they did just a couple of years ago.
Vote with your stomach. Kamala is not Joe Biden. And yes, Kamala's a woman. And there's excitement around that. You should see my mom. Suddenly she's a Kamala fanatic. Keeps talking about joy. Trump kept one dangerous woman out of the White House, and he can do it again. This country's thirsty for leadership after 4 years of Joe. And Hideaway Harris isn't going to fly. There's only so much bamboozling voters can tolerate, especially after the cover-up and now the bait and switch. And you can sense in the room today, the press, thrilled they could justify their paychecks. Kamala Harris hasn't held a press conference since 2023. And that wasn't even in America. It was in Dubai. So Trump got the gang back together. Room was packed. To use the left's logo, this is what democracy looks like. Freedom of the press, freedom of speech, live exchanges of ideas without censorship. Voters listening to a man vying to represent them and serve them, unscripted, without cheat sheets and teleprompters. The media misses Trump. The relationship between the press and the politicians is supposed to be tense and challenging. With Biden and Kamala, it's flaccid and corrupt. Everybody knows it. They were even up to their old tricks again.
There's been some discussion around Vice President Harris's relationship with Willie Brown, the former mayor of San Francisco, and how that might have intersected with her career trajectory. So I'm just wondering if you followed that discussion at all.
Well, I know Willie Brown very well. In fact, I went down in a helicopter with him. We thought maybe this is the end. I haven't seen him in years. But he told me terrible things about her. But this is what you're telling me anyway, I guess. But he had a big part in what happened with Kamala. But I don't know, maybe he's changed his tune, but he was not a fan of hers very much at that point.
Trump didn't take the Willie Brown bait. That's discipline. He was asked again about Kamala's racial heritage, didn't take the bait, disciplined. He was asked about abortion, disciplined. The press finally did get under his skin, of course, when they asked about crowd sizes.
Are you worried at all about the size of Harris's crowds?
Oh, give me a break. Listen.
I actually saw a video earlier. My husband and I actually saw some that it was like proving that her crowds were like AI generated. And I was like, yo, it's actually, I wish I could find a video because it actually kind of is, and it's almost comical that you can even see like some of the, the features of things that are like AI, like the je ne sais quoi of AI, the creepy ambiance of AI. You can see it in some of the like further people. Of course, like, a camera's going to lose focus as you get further away in the picture, but this is like the AI type of get blurry and weird. So it's wild. It's wild. But let's keep it moving.
I had 107,000 people in New Jersey. You didn't report it. I'm so glad you asked. What did she have yesterday? 2,000 people? If I ever had 2,000 people, you'd say my campaign is finished. It's so dishonest, the press. When she gets 1,500 people, and I saw it yesterday on ABC, where they said, oh, the crowd was so big. I have 10 times, 20 times, 30 times the crowd size. And no, they never say the crowd was big. That's why I'm always saying turn around the cameras. I'm so glad you asked that. I think it's so terrible when you say, well, she has 1,500 people, 1,000 people, and they talk about, oh, the enthusiasm. Let me tell you, we have the enthusiasm.
In the last week, Trump's done a rally, Fox and Friends, radio, podcasts. Today, he held an hour-long news conference, and the media...
This picture is wild as hell right here. I don't know why. It just seems so, like, caricature-esque of Trump.
Accused him of laziness.
You have not had a public campaign event for nearly a week now. Tomorrow you'll be in Montana, which is not a swing state. Some of your allies have expressed concern that you're not taking this very seriously, particularly at a time where there's enthusiasm on the other side. Why haven't you been campaigning this week?
Because I'm leading by a lot, and because I'm letting their convention go through. And I am campaigning a lot. I'm doing tremendous amounts of taping here. We have commercials that are at a level I don't think that anybody's ever done before. Plus, in certain cases, I see many of you in the room where I'm speaking to you on phones, I'm speaking to radio, I'm speaking to television. Television's coming over here. Excuse me, what are we doing right now? She's not doing any news conference. You know why she's not doing it? Because she can't do a news conference. She doesn't know how to do a news conference. She's not smart enough to do a news conference. And I'm sorry, we need smart people to lead this country.
I ain't gonna lie. Now, I would have said it a little differently. However, he does have a point because they are really trying to like get her to like not do any type of, they're like, look, you got the black community. Not really. Most of the black community that has a little more, critical thinking, that's the word. A little more critique and analysis about things and pay attention more. That's better. We are kind of questioning Kamala and just the entire Democratic Party in general because, like, you haven't done anything for us. We've been voting for you for 200 years, like Lyndon B. Johnson said we were going to do. Like, obviously not 200 years yet, but you know what I'm saying? He said himself he was going to have those Negroes voting Democratic for the next 200 years. And look what we've been doing and the progress. All we have is symbolism and them just kind of throwing black faces on top of shitty laws and crappy policies. So I guess in the name of equality, But as I was saying, to get back to the point, I would say that they're trying to kind of tell her, like, yo, you need to relax. Like, just, you got it right now. You got a little bit of, momentum going right now. Don't say anything to mess up. And she did. She pretty much told these Palestine protesters at one of her events some time ago, I guess. They were protesting and saying like they're not going to vote for someone that supports genocide, basically, which I support. Like it's crazy what they've been doing, funding 3 wars, but states have to fight over money for the homelessness problem. Ridiculous. But I digress. So she pretty much told them to like shut up or you're Trump supporters. Like if you want Trump to win, blah 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 blah. It didn't look good for her at all though, because it's like that's not even how you. Like they might have family over there. These are clearly Muslim people that are either from Palestine or have people from Palestine, the way that they were like passionately protesting. So it's like, sis, what are you doing? And then it's like, if the quality of what she is talking about in general to the public is just like mediocre word salads, it's kind of like, what is it like behind closed doors where they were like, we got to get this lady up out of here. I was gonna say something crazy, but we gotta get this lady up out of here. Like, you gotta just chill, please. Don't say anything in public no more. Imagine what type of stuff she's saying behind closed doors, where they took it to those extreme measures where they're like, just please don't even talk in public, dog. Anyway.
Because our country's never been in this danger before.
Why isn't anybody asking Kamala questions like that? Today was the first time she took questions from a reporter since Biden's debate. And the questions weren't, why are you so afraid of reporters? Where have you been hiding? Why did you cover up Joe's condition? Why'd you change all your positions? All they asked her is, what'd you think of Trump? The one question they did ask her about her running mate's stolen valor, she dodged.
Some of the criticism has been about your vice presidential pick and his leading the National Guard at 24 years. Vance said that he deserted his own troops or his own colleagues. What's your take on that?
Listen, I praise anyone who has presented themselves to serve our country. And I think that we all should.
Okay, 6 seconds. On to the next question. Kamala answers questions like that, 1, 2 sentences, then goes to the next question. I'd love to see her do an hour, but the press doesn't, and neither do Democrat voters. Democrat voters aren't interested in what she believes, besides abortion and winning. That's it. Kamala World says they're deeply skeptical that any televised or print interviews offer much real upside for Harris. Because why run a real campaign when you can run a fake one and the media lets you get away with it? The media isn't demanding an interview now because they're in on the 90-day cover-up. Semaphore reports that Harris has been talking with her traveling press off the record. One reason that you haven't seen as much media grumbling about access, the outlets paying for the plane are getting FaceTime. So the media's in on the Kamala cover-up. I thought Kamala was a tough prosecutor that smashed through glass ceilings and calls Joe Biden racist to his face. Where'd that little girl go?
Sometimes people will open the door for you and leave it open. Sometimes they won't. And then you need to kick that door down.
As a woman, there's a balance to be struck between being tough and being a bitch.
If you got something to say,
if you want to be a girl boss, do you really want to be treated like a little girl? Because that's how we're treating Kamala. She's supposed to be the first female president. Do women want the first female president to be protected like a kid in a car seat, carried around, pampered, swaddled? Nobody's letting her out of her crib because they're afraid she might hurt herself. That's not how we treated Hillary. Hillary stood on her own 2 feet. Sure, Hillary got good press. She's a Democrat, of course, but she wasn't babied like Harris. If I were Harris, I'd be embarrassed. They're saying she didn't choose Shapiro because she didn't want him to upstage her. She chose Walz instead because he made her feel safe and warm and comfortable and promised not to run for president later. What is Walz? Kamala's cuddly stuffed animal? J.D. Vance strolled over to her tarmac, gave her traveling press corps jazz for helping her hide, and it worked. Smoked her out of her little hole today. And here's how the media covered it. Watch.
She's also got this stalker going around from city to city like a hangdog ex-husband trying to find her. So I trust the Secret Service, but I'm glad that she's got Tim Walz there too. He's on it.
Yeah, it is so weird, Lindsay. It is so weird that like Trump is playing golf somewhere while JD Vance is like stalking the vice president and saying weird stuff to reporters. Like he's not helping to make it himself not seem weird.
Is Walz her running mate or her security blanket? I mean, if anyone gets near Harris, they're a stalker. This is not high school, ladies. This is the great American Republic. She's not a woman at a bar. She's running to be the leader of the free world. But first you can't talk to Kamala, and now you can't go near her. She's not a princess. Trump's not running against Meghan Markle. They sent De Niro out to troll Trump at the courthouse. No one called him a stalker. We just called him crazy. And I love Bobby's movies. That's about it. Kamala's afraid of Fox, afraid of J.D. Vance at the airport, and now she's afraid of sitting down for an interview. She's probably afraid of spiders. The media is treating Kamala like she's vulnerable and needs protection, because she does. She's on a tight leash. They make her read the same speech twice in a row. Watch this.
It really is good to be back in Wisconsin. It is so good to be back in Michigan. Listen, let me tell you, I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. And listen, I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. I took on perpetrators of all kinds. I took on perpetrators of all kinds and had a summer job at McDonald's. I had a summer job at McDonald's. So hear me when I say, so hear me, Detroit, when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. I know Donald Trump's type. And are we ready to fight for it? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win.
Kamala's plagiarizing her.
Oh, man. That's it for this video. I'll see y'all next time.